Galera do canal, me chamo Julien e no vídeo de hoje veremos a possível invasão da Venezuela na Guiana e também a movimentação do Exército brasileiro sobre tudo isso. Mas deixe seu like e inscreva-se no nosso canal para ajudar a notificação e valeu! Lembrando que a tradução foi feita pelo YouTube, ou seja, pelo próprio tradutor automático do YouTube, então algumas palavrinhas estão trocadas, mas se você prestar bastante atenção, dá para entender tudo perfeitamente. É isso e valeu!
Imperialist ambitions in Guyana, then they're false. The international community stands by this. I don't know if they're miscalculating based on what happened in Crimea and the other places, but it would be a grave miscalculation on their part. Now, we've never been interested in having military bases here, but we have to protect our national interests. And so, at the diplomatic level, through the ICJ, we have been working openly because we are a law-abiding country. We're a democratic country. Can't say the same thing about Venezuela. And we will continue to do so. And we are interested in maintaining peace in our country and on our borders. But we are going to be working with our allies to ensure that we plan for all eventualities. And I know that we're going to be working on greater defense cooperation with a number of countries. We would have from the U.S. Department of Defense next week 2 visits to Guyana by 2 teams, and then several other visits in the month of December.
In response to escalating tensions between Venezuela and Guyana over the disputed Essequibo region, the Brazilian army has deployed a significant number of troops and armored vehicles to its border with Venezuela. This move comes in the wake of heightened disputes last month, centering on the Guyanese territory of Essequibo. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has been particularly vocal, going so far as to publicly denigrate Guyanese President Irfan Ali, labeling him a puppet of ExxonMobil. This American oil giant is actively involved in oil extraction in the contested maritime area. Maduro's rhetoric has not only been directed at Ali but also serves to rally the Venezuelan armed forces and citizenry, urging them to reclaim Essequibo. This call to action is set against the backdrop of an upcoming referendum on December 3rd, where Venezuelans will decide whether to annex this region, which Venezuela historically claims as its own. It helps us a lot if you hit the like button and subscribe. The situation intensified on the 25th, with General Domingo Hernandez Larrey, the commander of Venezuela's strategic operational forces, declaring their readiness to fight for Essequibo with blood and fire. In response, President Ali of Guyana has placed his nation's armed forces on high alert, preparing for potential defense scenarios. Ali, during visits to the border areas with Venezuela, sought to reassure the anxious local population and mentioned his efforts to forge military alliances with other nations, presumably including the United States and Brazil, to bolster Guyana's defense capabilities. Adding to the complexity, there have been reports of the Guyanese army detaining and deporting Venezuelan immigrants residing in the disputed area, some of whom are suspected to be Venezuelan special forces, potentially poised to assist in any military incursion. This escalation has caused considerable concern in the Brazilian state of Roraima, which shares borders with both Venezuela and Guyana. Specifically, there are fears that the Venezuelan army might use the northern part of Roraima as a transit route. This area, characterized by the Lavrado biome, a type of savanna terrain ideal for the movement of heavy armored vehicles, offers the only viable land corridor for the transport of heavy weaponry between Venezuela and Guyana. The rest of the border area, marked by dense tropical rainforests, formidable rivers, and impassable mountain ranges, presents significant natural barriers, making a land-based military operation from Venezuela into Guyana exceedingly challenging. Recent reports indicate that the Brazilian army is closely monitoring a situation that poses a threat to the peace and sovereignty of Brazil, particularly affecting the state of Roraima. In a proactive response, the army has significantly increased its military presence in Roraima over the past 4 weeks, focusing especially on the border with Venezuela. This militarization involves deploying thousands of soldiers, some from other regions, and equipping them with an array of heavy weaponry. This arsenal includes dozens of anti-tank missiles and rockets, powerful towed howitzers, and various armored vehicles, which have become a common sight for the local populace. Notably, the city of Pacaraima, which marks the border between Brazil and Venezuela, has witnessed an unusual frequency of Brazilian army convoys, indicating an atypical level of military activity in the state. The public relations officer of the 1st Jungle Infantry Brigade, tasked with defending the state of Roraima, addressed the media to clarify the situation. He explained that the convoy's journey to the border is a routine part of the brigade's training activities, specifically referring to the advanced training of the 1st Jungle Infantry Brigade, known as Operation Amazonia 2023. This operation is a standard practice aimed at maintaining the readiness and efficiency of the military forces. However, it's noteworthy that Operation Amazonia 2023 has, for the first time, been predominantly focused on the state of Roraima, particularly in municipalities and regions near the Venezuelan border. This strategic focus suggests that the operation's location was chosen to prepare troops for potential combat scenarios on the Venezuelan border and to deter Venezuelan forces from attempting to traverse through Roraima. Historically, the main activities of Operation Amazonia have been centered in the state of Amazonas, making this shift in focus significant. Furthermore, in an unprecedented move, a large and highly operational troop from the 4th Mountain Infantry Brigade, based in the state of Minas Gerais, was relocated to Roraima to participate in Operation Amazonia 2023. Officially, they are there to provide training in mountain operations to the 1st Jungle Infantry Brigade, considering Roraima's challenging terrain, which includes a vast range of mountains and hills near the triple border with Venezuela and Guyana. It's highly plausible that these mountain warfare specialists are also reinforcing the Brazilian military presence in the area. Despite social media updates from the Brazilian army suggesting that Operation Amazonia 2023 concluded in early November, recent footage from residents of Pacaraima shows that several army convoys and armored vehicles are still active in the area. This ongoing military presence, despite Brazil's alliance with the Venezuelan government, underscores Brazil's reluctance to witness a conflict at its borders that could endanger the nation and its people. The continued deployment of Brazilian troops in the region is a clear indication of Brazil's commitment to safeguarding its territory and deterring any potential Venezuelan military incursion into Guyana via Roraima.
Então, eu sou leigo sobre esse assunto, mas eu vou dar meu ponto de vista. O Brasil precisa se posicionar. Ele precisa mostrar claramente o que ele deseja. Ele precisa pôr moral no seu quintal, como o maior país da América Latina. Primeiro, eu acho extremamente perigoso essa guerra entre Venezuela e Guiana. Segundo, ficou nítido pelos representantes da Guiana que se a Venezuela tentar atacar a Guiana, terá uma base americana em território da Guiana. Isso para o Brasil, pelo menos no meu ponto de vista, apesar de não ter nada contra os Estados Unidos, mas eu acho extremamente perigoso. Pô, os Estados Unidos com uma base militar em território amazônico, eu acho, cara, muito perigoso. Já não basta a Guiana francesa, que sempre enche o saco do Brasil. Agora os Estados Unidos com base militar na Guiana, eu acho bastante complicado. Ou os Estados Unidos precisa... o Brasil precisa brecar com isso tudo diplomaticamente, ou precisa se posicionar por meio do seu exército. Ou apoiar a Guiana, ou tentar dissuadir a Venezuela a não atacar a Guiana, eu não sei. Mas que o Brasil precisa se posicionar, precisa. Esse é meu ponto de vista. Mas deixe seu like, deixe seu comentário aqui, o que você acha sobre tudo isso. Desculpe se eu falei alguma besteira, mas é o meu ponto de vista. Deixe seu like, inscreva-se no nosso canal para ajudar na divulgação e valeu!